So, yeah, so what we talked about was the block picker, as we were calling it, obviously, when we demoed it at Harvest. Obviously, when we spoke about it last week, we kind of shifted it away a little bit from blocks because we realized that the bag part isn't related to widgets in any way. It's just literally a bag part just contains content types that users can select. So with that, I think one of the main sort of changes, I think, I've got a kind of a demo here again, and this is where I'm at with it so far. You can kind of see we've got available items, and we've got a block quote, an image, and a paragraph. So this is just using the agency recipe, setup recipe in Orchard. So one of the things that we spoke about was having a part, maybe like a category part. I think there was some sort of this we discussed about what we would sort of call it. And I think after I went away and had a look at it, I started to realize because we were doing the sort of content types, and it was kind of almost became a content type picker almost, because we got a content item picker, but this is more of a content type picker. So rather than having a part that gets attached to a content item, sorry, content type, I thought it might be a better idea just to add the category and the thumbnail image to the content type definition or the content type settings, just like we have with Stereotype. So we can see we've got the block quote here, and then we can just do put a category of demo in there. We save that, we go back, and then we go into the new page, click that. You can kind of see then it's got the demo categories then kind of picked up in the content type picker. I haven't actually got it selecting yet because I've got a bit of a JavaScript issue going on. But yeah, so that was kind of really the main update, was moving away from a part that a user had to attach and just literally update the content type definition. I don't know how everybody feels about that.
Everyone's supposed to say I love it, and I'm supposed to say no, because that's my job.
Is that content part setting editor, or actually it's a content type?
Content type.
It could be a content part setting, no?
Well, no, you can't do that. Can you? No, you can't. It's a content type setting will be defined on a type instance.
Yeah.
Let me think.
Yeah, but I think if you add the content part, like for example, let's call it block part, then that part can have a content part setting that's also displayed here, no? Or maybe I'm wrong, confused. So
yes, you can have content type setting, because the same way we do full text, the same way we do, right? So some things here. So this page is extensible, yeah, with content type settings.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about do we need to add category and thumbnail for content types where it's completely irrelevant? For example, I don't know, customer type of content types.
The other argument, the counter argument is maybe if it was there, people could do more interesting things with it, like apply it in other places where you could not before, without relying on a custom part like block. Like in Audit Trail, in the dropdown that lets you filter by type, we could use this thumbnail as a small image to show the things, right? If it's not there, you have a random one, but at least now you know you can have one, so you will use it.
I'm actually convinced. Yeah, thumbnail is actually very generic category probably too.
So I'm not opposed to it, actually, because it's describing the thing. It's not providing a behavior, right? So it's just metadata to me. It's there, it's not there, that's fine. It will work if it should work if it's not there.
Yeah.
Like a stereotype.
Yeah, exactly that. So it's completely optional. You can just have it if you need it.
But that scares me that I'm not opposed to that. And
it's pleased me very much.
So the fact that what you said, Mark, is interesting, because when I saw that on the first screenshot, I'm like, it's like content types have part instances. But yeah, what you meant is exactly that. We already have part settings. These are the things like annotations on types that are optional. But yeah, here it doesn't need to be optional or driven by a module. Like you don't want to see category and thumbnail only if you enable the module named, I don't know, blocks or whatever. No, you can say it.
This is part of the flow, the flow module, isn't it? So again, I've kind of referred to it as a content type picker because it's more of a generic term, I suppose, because it may be used in other places. At the minute, it's just used in the flow part, but it could be used in many places anywhere that you need to pick any type of content types.
Yep,
this might be useful.
Yeah, and some of these types, as the thumbnail, they use whatever they will render on the UI, but some other types, they might just use a generic icon.
That was another thing, whether like this was a thumbnail, but we could have an icon as well if needs be. I don't want to overcomplicate the UI too much, but it's one of those things that actually may be becoming useful, especially when we're talking about sort of UI enhancements. Having an icon there would be really useful. Same with almost like having a color picker for this content type as well. In the future, that might be something that we can help differentiate to the user. This is a certain type of content, and a color is almost an identifier as well.
What I've seen is icons property, where you can provide sizes and the icon related to this size, such that you can provide one thumbnail if you want, the big one, and then we have to zoom in, zoom out. Or you provide a 16 by 16, a 48 by 48, and multiple values based on what you want to render, because you want different things based on the size, because it doesn't scale. Do we want that here? Maybe we could have one field that is actually a JSON stuff containing an array of icons, and then the UI will not be a text box, but an actual upload, like a media manager, an actual media manager for these things. But internally, it will be just an array of base 64 values.
Do you want it to be like a unique icon, or could we just use something like Font Awesome that we already have included in the UI, and the user could just pick from that library? Because then it would scale to whatever we want, wherever it's needed.
And by the way, just to make sure I understand, this is instead of the thumbnail, or it's also an extra optional?
An extra, sort of an additional field, probably. I was thinking there, yeah. The thumbnail is good for when you want a visual representation of whatever it is you're adding. I think when we demoed the forms module, when Alcuin demoed that, we actually had a version of the picker that just had icons, because it kind of made more sense to identify a field with an icon rather than an image. So it's thinking of that sort of flexibility, I suppose, and going back into here if you want.
What's the difference between an icon and an image?
Well, it's not really much difference, really. I suppose the icon that we used in the forms one was like a Font Awesome icon that got displayed. It wasn't an image. It was.
I see. Like a reference to a font. Okay.
Yeah. So, and again, with this one, as you can see here, if you had an icon, it would show an icon there instead, rather than the image. So, depending on what you're developing, you may not want to take screenshots of every content type in here, because that might be a bit too much work, or it's not really needed, whereas an icon might just do the job for you. So it's having that flexibility.
Well, flexibility, but at the same time, users will then have to provide both an icon and a thumbnail.
It will handle it without. So, for instance, here I haven't provided an image for any of these, and if there was no icon, it would literally just display like this. I mean, at the minute, we don't have any description text showing underneath here either. I don't know if that might be something that might be worth adding. But the point is, the UI should sort of just respond. If it doesn't have that information, it just won't show it.
The description should be there in the
Yep.
content types. Is it?
Yes, we have a description for content type, don't we?
Yes.
Yeah, interesting. So icon, thumbnails with different sizes.
I have
Even
another
though-
question regarding, so I see that you replaced your block picker to back part, which is great in my opinion, so that we utilize Orchard's feature. But will you make it default to pick such widgets or with a custom stereotype, or how do you think should be default, or something basically that lets the admin user or whoever puts together the content types and stuff will know exactly that if I configure this for the back part, I will be able to build my website with those blocks that you developed. Does it make sense?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, what we did last time, what we demoed was, it wasn't an additional part, it was just an editor for the bag part. So again, it wasn't any kind of custom field or custom part that we developed. It was using the bag part anyway. I think when we spoke about last week, I'm just go to the page a minute, we can have a look. How we then, when you add a bag part, for instance, I've got kind of had an idea. This is just a sort of an experiment with when we talked about, obviously it says add item and available items in the modal that shows up. Obviously we refer to things as blocks, so we think about the flexibility there and how if to give the user a way of customizing that type of text. So we've added like a button text, which I'll probably change it to content type picker button text or something. But this will allow the user to override what gets displayed there without having a different editor for it. And at the same time, we were going to have a drop down whether to show it as a list or a modal picker. So that was kind of how you would get around that, so the user could really customize it to whatever they needed or wherever it's going to get displayed. Did that answer your question?
I think so, yes. Thanks.
Yeah, I think it still makes sense to have two editors, one for the standard way and this one with all the additional options as a separate editor.
Okay. So we said, okay, so the minute this was kind of like the standard one, I just extended that one, but so you
Sure.
prefer it as a separate editor.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
You have
I mean,
options all the way.
separate from back part, or what do you mean?
No, in the back part, a second editor, one which has the add button, and the other one, the default, is still the old picker,
Ah, okay.
the drop down.
So yeah, that's
I mean, we can replace it. I'm fine either way. So.
You can change what standard means, but at least, well, not, yeah, maybe
That's
not
the
at the
option.
beginning, yeah. Choose two dedicated options. Choose which one you want when you want to force it. The standard can have a default. It's funny, George, you will understand. Standard is like when you say bool parameter equals null, right?
Yeah.
And then you can decide to change the standard by changing what the null represents later. But if you set it like bool standard equals Trumboig, well, standard is Trumboig. You can't, it's a breaking change to change now that, like it's the same thing. Interesting. Okay, so two editors, and then standard can be whatever it is, like keep the one today. And then in a breaking change release, we can say now standard is the other one because we want the standard, right? And if you don't want that, you change it, you set it manually. You don't choose standard, you choose old one. I think we should have the type settings, actually. I'm back to the old things because it's getting complicated with icon, thumbnail, different sizes, and maybe it will help us like load the model only if we need it. instead of having it part of the content type, if we have like binary data on the thing, like whenever we want to load the content item, we need to load this content type. So we need to load its thumbnail in memory. What? So maybe it should be, it will help to make it lazy load, like get settings from the thing somehow. Like
Yeah, but these are in memory anyway. So.
I know, but
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I see what you mean. You're right.
these are in memory anyway. Yes, when we load them and they are loaded once, so at least that's fine. That part is fine. Yeah, you're right. It's cached, so maybe I should not care.
No, you should.
But if we transfer it, maybe it will be, I don't know, maybe to project it, or maybe it's easier. It can just be better. Maybe it will be a little bit more code, like get metadata or whatever, get settings of whatever, get thumbnail settings, get description settings. I don't know, but
I will continue and share where I am next week.
awesome. Well, 2 weeks in a
Thank
row
you.
already. That's great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.